Okay, good morning. Welcome to the FCCJ. I'm your moderator, Andy Sharp. Just very quick introduction. Obviously, we know what happened on Friday in the UK. Came as a bit of a surprise to many of us, especially this Britain sat here. So we don't need to go into what happened in the UK, but we're looking forward now to what we can expect this to mean for Japan, for Asia, for the rest of the world, both like this week, the next few weeks in terms of like the market implications, and also for Japan as a country. Obviously, it has a lot of investments in Europe, etc. What this can mean. Anyway, today we have Professor Obata from Keio Business School, former Ministry of Finance official, and he's here with a pretty, I don't know if you've taken a look yet, but a pretty interesting handout that he woke up pretty early this morning to make. So without further ado, I'd like to let Mr. Obata, Professor Obata, speak for about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll do some Q&A on this issue. Okay, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really regret, to present today. My title, today's presentation title, "Who is the stupid in the world?" I think I'm most stupid because I choose English to talk today. I had that option there in Japanese. I might regret more than the people in London. So why? Obviously, economically it's really stupid. Politically, maybe it's discussable, but my opinion is it's a very stupid decision. So economic damage is really serious and more than expected now by people, because negotiation would be tough. And also, the value, the UK is a very, very valuable economy, especially London is very, attractive city, but half of value of London or UK comes from the network effect because of gate of the EU. So its value comes from the EU. So it's a bad choice. And also, that process, everybody already the process, coming process 2 years, fighting inside or with the EU, this political process killed the economy. So stupid decision. So who is stupid? Who is guilty? Voters for leave? I don't think so, because they are not stupid. They're just wrong. So problem is what made them wrong. Okay. So two factors. So logic for leaving is very simple and strong. Because the EU is very bureaucratic, same as maybe Minister of Finance, and Minister of Finance or IMF or EU is a good target to attack. Everybody hate. So it's a clear argument and simple and strong. And secondly, in a divided society, it's a very bad, the situation, because the elite, top guys, very reasonable, smart, they try to convince poor, stupid people. So that structure, poor people, got angry. They never trust the logical argument. It's the same as the argument by Minister of Finance. It's a fiscal problem in Japan, but many people don't want to believe. Okay, and they just simply dislike Minister of Finance as IMF. Okay, so elite's beautiful logic backfired the situation, and this. These two factors had the synergy, because one side is very clear, the simple argument, easy to understand, true or not. The other side, it seems true, but it's complicated, nasty, arrogant argument, so they don't like. So, but it's a great opportunity for me to think about the populism, to suffer from populism in Japan also, the Abenomics, later I will mention. Why populism argument is always powerful? Because simple, long, therefore powerful. Because they can say anything. They don't have to be consistent. They don't have to be true. So they try to capture just one simple, clear relationship or causality. Just pick up that one phenomena they explain. That's very powerful. So world is very complicated, uncertain, never seen before. So more populism emerged recently because world become complicated and uncertain. Therefore, truth is very difficult to understand. Even nobody knows the truth. Therefore, the populism argument is easier to understand and clear, so more convincing. So I call it evolution by revolution by evolution, because populism evolution, I made up this phrase this morning, because usually, populism say, I'm a bit famous in Japan, famous for criticizing Mr. Abe. I'm too brave, too stupid, I think, maybe. But usually populism means, some politician, the leader, human being, he is a populist, his policy is populism. But, usually pick the popular leader, but now populism move toward, issues. The pick up the issue. In Japan, for instance, the consumption tax cycle issue, lower tax is better for everybody. So populism say, let's cut the tax. And but more evolved populism is the logic itself. Logic itself populism. It's very difficult to control because maybe you can control the Mr. Trump, maybe you can control the Mr. Abe. But issue also can be managed by some way. You can negotiate and convince partially the people. But the popular logic is very difficult to change. As I explained, popular logic is very powerful because of the simplicity and without considering the truth. So it's very difficult. Deny the populism argument in logic. So now, current populism in logic is very powerful. So, therefore, this is very robust. Popular leader, because he's a human being. For instance, Mr. Trump, he faces many problems or many opportunity to be attacked or criticized. But logic itself is very difficult to deny, and also this case, the target is the EU. It's very vague and clear, not tangible. It's very difficult to convince EU is very beneficial to the UK, but you cannot touch the benefit directly. So popular logic is very difficult to deny, so very robust. So now we move to the new world, some kind of the transfer hegemony, because this process it's you can observe even in the UK, traitor from the old world always helps the new world. It's always true. From Spain to Netherlands, from US to China, move to a new system. Old world divided. So some early traitor join the new world, so help them. So usually divided organization is always lose the game. It's totally irrelevant issue, but for instance, military finance, why in Japan, it's very tough organization, very strong. Why Ministry of Finance survived? Because they are rival each other inside the organization. So they hate each other actually, my bosses. But against the outside world, they are really united. Never be divided because they are very smart, clever enough. Unity is most powerful tool to fight against a politician or a media or other organization. So for instance, Ministry of the METI is very talented people, but they are always divided. So as an organization, they are very weak, but sometimes very successful to convince Mr. Abe, okay? So, people naturally support the simple populism logic. So it's not necessarily stupidity. You know, who is a really stupid guy? So two guys here. So Mr. Cameron, but I should not criticize him very much here, but it's kind of populism. So one point. So one issue politics is very powerful but dangerous. In Japan, the Koizumi, postal office issue, you know, that's a one issue politics. That was very powerful and effective, and he succeeded. But this case, he failed. It's just a gamble, you know. So, but suffer from all over populism. The leader suffer from this mistake. You know, this is a gamble. So sometimes he has to do this gamble under some pressure. I think most stupid guys are financial market. Why didn't they expect? Because all survey shows that 50-50, but the market predict almost 90-10 or something. You know, the remain win. Okay, so the pond EM per pond is 160 or something just before the opening the ballot. So that's it's a very, you know, strange to me. You know, I couldn't believe if the leave to win, what happened to the market? So, but why financial market was very stupid? Because they can prepare and hedge, but they just shocked by the result. Three big mistakes by market, because as Mr. Cameron, you know, the underestimate lower class people's power. You know, this is also the modern phenomena, because the established, economically succeeded people, they don't need any politics. You know, Tokyo people also, they are stupid enough. They never interested in politicians, so they don't know anything about politicians. So they chose Mr. Masazoe. Everybody knew even before this incident. Okay, so rural areas politician is, you know, to us, to the Tokyo people, they cannot understand, but the local people really understand who is most powerful politician to get the benefit from the Tokyo. It's not good for Tokyo, but you know, it's good for them. But usually, succeeded people or rich people, people in the metropolitan city, they are not interested in politics, just for entertainment, to go to the election or referendum. So that's not so powerful in the politics. Okay. So second mistake, I'm more interested in as a behavioral economics researcher. So it's a wishful thinking. Always market suffer from wishful thinking, but usually they are very successful in this way because I will explain later. this is related to the third part, but I have to add the current situation because world is so uncertain. So any reasonable prediction is impossible, or very low probability. So everything uncertain. So you can believe anything. So your wishful thinking, your logic just you like, you can believe. Because other possibility also you cannot believe, or you can believe, you can say. So everything is a low possibility. So, wishful thinking can be true. But most fundamental flaw by the investors always made is illusion of control. In the financial market, truth never exists. I always claim this argument, even in the Nikkei Shimbun advertisement by JRA, Japanese Race Horsing Association. I love the betting in the horse racing, but in horse racing, truth exists because which horse is fastest, you can see the result after the race. But in the stock market, who was right? Who knows? Because just other people buy this, for instance, Toyota, you should have bought Toyota because everybody bought Toyota, the Toyota price up, so you should buy Toyota. Even if some bad some incident inside Toyota, but nobody knows forever. You sell the Toyota, you're just stupid, okay? So in the financial market, majority is always true. Just following majority, or the leader of the majority is the best. The second best is follower of the leader. So you have to join the majority. They are accustomed to just following the majority. After the Lehman shock, just follow the U.S. monetary policy. Just under Abenomics, just follow the BOJ. Okay, just follow the central bank and other investors. That's a market. So that made them make mistake because they can control all of the financial market. But this case, voting results, they couldn't control. Usually, they could control the interpretation. If the good result of economy, you can say that it's the end of the good news. Time to sell. You can interpret it in this way if you want to sell. But this time, they wanted to buy. The story for their strategy, the demand wins. This scenario is more favorable and more consistent with their position and their investment strategy. So they are upset. Okay. Why explain so long? I'm going to talk about the main point today. So my prediction for the future, near future, can be long and also stupid as other investors, but I'm going to explain. So asset market, as I explained, they just interpret as they want. So after, result is fixed. Okay, so now they can just interpret. So I think, or you might agree, except Europe and the UK, fundamental damage to the real sector in the economy is substantial but not large. Okay, so the stock market, but irrelevant to the real damage to the real sector, they just face a volatility, completely different from the real sectors. Real sector, real economy is the movement. So just in the near future, at least this week, just volatile market. But if so, why so much lost in Japanese stock market or US market if the fundamentally we don't lose much, we don't lose much. Why? Stock market just lost because the so far stock market was on the bubble. In my theory, my research about the bubble is stock market almost always on the bubble because on the expectation or follow the follower. Okay, so the always is kind of bubble. So some shock, any shock from the outside make bubble burst. Okay, so this case, the small size of bubble remain in Japanese stock market. So bubble burst. So therefore, the market turmoil need not be continuing. But I think stock market once become the volatile, trader prefer volatility to make money in the short run. So volatility continue, and also the everyday some news from the UK. So I think always news will be more negative than market expected. So the direction is downward, but it's just volatile, and downward slope is not so terrible. It's just gradually. The real sector, as I explained, two small negative effects, suffering from the European stagnation, but mainly financial market effect. The Japanese economy and the US economy, depending on the real estate market and the stock market recently. So the stock market crashed, the damage the consumption in individuals. So some negative effects exist. And currency is important, especially to Japan. But my prediction is that the UK pound, sterling pound, and the euro, there are reason to lose the value, but no reason for change the US dollar and the Japanese yen because both are stronger. So I think 100 yen per dollar is a good focal point, I think, because two reasons. Many people believe 100 yen per dollar is fair value. True or not? Many people believe it, so that's a focal point. Also, price purchasing power or trade deficit or current surplus, so on, 100 is a good focal point, I think. So currently, dollar yen ratio is 100 yen per dollar. Therefore, maybe running out of time, so explain the I prediction of the politics I skip if you're interested in look at. Okay. I'm sorry. I explained the currency policy. I think you can expect currency intervention by Japanese government. I think it's very difficult because 100 per dollar is quite fair. So no reason to intervene. The yen is undervalued before, and now the process of the adjusting kind of dollar bubble. So therefore, that's the reason why it become yen stronger. The shock from the UK, and also reason from the United States. Fed cannot raise the interest rate. It's a US side reason. So therefore, reason not inside the Japan. So it's very difficult to justify the intervention by Japanese government. Also, the the range, around 100 yen is quite fair. So it's very difficult. And also, U.S. position is U.S. is not agree with the yen weakening yen intentionally. And finally, talking about Abenomics, today's most important point. Abenomics, what is Abenomics? Abenomics is nothing, I think, no fundamentals. Just magic word, fighting against deflation. It's quite amazingly smart. I thought Mr. Abe is stupid, but he's quite smart. Because it's effective in 2013, because that time our focal point, especially stock market, is crazily pessimistic equilibrium. So the Abenomics and this magic word, fighting deflation, destroy this pessimistic but stable equilibrium. So we back to the normal equilibrium. Around 15,000 Nikkei average is quite reasonable, and 100 yen per dollar is quite reasonable. So first Abenomics magic word against deflation with a BOJ Kuroda is quite work well. But only this, Abenomics nothing, or just a magic word, or at most Kurodanomics, BOJ, okay? So deflation doesn't matter, because Mr. Abe just want to keep the popularity. So popularity is related to stock price. I don't know why, but that's a fact. So he focused on the stock price. But stock price is now he cannot control, and popularity itself is more important. So inflation, he is not interested at all anymore. So he just can say Abenomics on the way, continue to fight with deflation. He want to show the pose to fight. That's enough. So real three arrows, shock therapy and populism, and the serve to all the players. So that's Abenomics. So the future of Abenomics, nothing changed. Keep populism, but stimulate short-run demand. One difference from before is no extra monetary policy is possible, and the magic word doesn't work anymore, but he still say. And what we'll do? So just keep saying, no harm, and that's a good part of the Abenomics, because Abenomics without fundamental is very difficult to criticize, because nothing. So it's impossible to criticize nothing, okay? So the Abe's populism really rational. So depend on the fiscal policy is fundamental way, but he already did consumption tax. So very robust. And Kuroda, he's seriously fight the deflation, the weaker yen, but he faced a real difficulty. So I wonder what he should do, but he will do something, but it will not effective. So the financial market or currency market couldn't be moved by BOJ. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Obata Sensei, for that. Okay, we're opening the floor to questions from the working press. You can raise your hand and give your name and affiliation, and I'll come to you. Okay, we'll start over here.
Hello, Professor Obata. Thank you so much for your presentation. Kaori Hitomi from Associated Press. I have two questions. So what do you predict sort of overall impact on Japanese companies based in UK? What could be the possible scenarios? I think you can think of a couple of scenarios, and what could be the impact on each scenarios.
Yes.
And may I ask one more question?
Yes.
One thing which you didn't talk about in your presentation is the impact in other EU members by Brexit.
Okay.
If you could talk about the spillover.
I think second one is everybody knows, so it's not my part. I think it's really damaging EU status. But one positive effect is France and Germany united more than before, okay? Because they have to be united. So EU more united than before. So no country try to do the referendum because they understand stupidity of referendum. So they are more united, and they will do some reform of bureaucracy in EU. So it's a good part. But other than this factor, everything's negative. Europe itself losing power because they are united with UK is a good player, unique player in Europe, but they're losing in the EU. They're losing power. The first one is I think the many Japanese company consider reallocate their office headquarters in Europe from the London to other city. But Japanese company usually, very slow to move. They wait, I think, 2 years. But still they are serious to move, I think, and serious effect. But effect for the profit, they're losing the UK market. Not losing, that suffer from the stagnation of UK and Europe, but it's only that, nothing special. It's just a weak European economy. So, and the reallocate office. That's simple for the Japanese company, I think.
Okay, any other questions? This lady here first, and then Martin.
I'm Kyoko Hasegawa with AFP. In addition to the previous question, I'm wondering about the impact on economic sort of diplomacy, because the UK is not a member of the EU anymore. I read somewhere that the Japanese diplomats are worried about the impact on, for example, trade deals and other economic deals. How do you think about it?
But yes, affects the relationship. But Japanese diplomats just wait and see. Just wait. So try to keep the balance. But even the United States, very difficult for them to support the UK because the EU market is 10 times than the UK itself. And the enemy for the US is China or Russia. So for China and Russia, unity in Europe is not, destroy the unity of Europe is good news for Russia and China. So it's bad for US. So the US cannot support the UK position. Therefore, Japanese government follow the US position. So I think the sentimentally, the Japanese people want to support the UK, but we cannot do, and they cannot do. I think diplomatically support EU more than UK. I think. Okay.
Okay, Martin, then Anthony.
Martin Kölling with the German financial daily Handelsblatt. I would like to ask you to talk a little bit more about the economic effect on the Japanese economy. Mm-hmm. Some analysts, economists already forecasting much slower growth in 2017. Some say the US dollar will go down to 83 yen, something like this, in the mid of next year. And I would like to understand what you think about the future of the Japanese economy and what happens how high the risk is of a much stronger appreciation of the yen.
Yes. Thank you very much. Mostly from the currency effect, on Brexit damage on the Japanese economy from the currency appreciation. But I personally support strong yen. That's my personal position. But even nowadays, Japanese economy different from the past. Actually, labor force less than half of the population. All of us are consumers. Consumers get the benefit from stronger yen as well as cheaper oil. Okay, so the stronger yen will not kill Japanese economy as much as before. And as I mentioned, most of the currency company invests in the US dollar to yen. So this ratio would be very stable around 110, I think. So not seriously damage this year or next year. Again, so the main influence from the currency appreciation, but I think it will not be serious. But stagnation in Europe is quite serious and affect the Japanese economy, but not so large. Okay.
Anthony Rowley, Singapore Business Times. I wonder if you have any theories on what you think Britain might do or should do following this mess, if there's anything left of Britain, that is, at the end of the day. Britain used to have colonies. Manufacturing skills were combined with raw materials from the former colonies. After the war, Japan rather took over that role. Japan was the manufacturing centre and used raw materials not from colonies but from Canada, Australia and so on. And then China did a Japan, the same thing. Do you think Britain now should try to make use of reassert its manufacturing skills and somehow combine that with access to raw materials from various countries?
I think UK has no way to go. It's very difficult, I think. It's kind of the football it's a away game. The situation is already, difficult, almost impossible to move. So they just try to do best and, limited field. I think they try to unite, except the EU, but as I mentioned a bit, the US, Japan, not so, welcome the UK, and Russia and China. Maybe the UK people have the hope to have a good relationship with China, and they strategically move to improve China relationship. But for China, the UK was very beneficial to them when the UK is a member of EU. But now, UK position is opposite against the German position. Germany also very interested in China, of course. So for China, Germany, the UK, both important. So China cannot support explicitly UK. So for the UK, any relationship with any country, quite difficult. So just to endure the tough time, and they regret. They will change mind.
So this will make it more difficult for, say, the UK to sign a trade deal with Japan in the future. I mean, Japan, would they prioritize the EU deal and then think about the UK, or how would Japan
Yes.
approach this?
Japanese people are very naive, and so that they do not think deeply. So Japanese people think, oh, miserable UK, and if good condition, we had better have a good relationship with UK. But it's very difficult to implement this favor because pressure from US or other European countries. So Japan will just following the friends. So as same as before, same as usual. So same as the US, I think.
Any more questions? I can open this up to, Mr. Fujita, please.
My name is Hiroyuki Fujita, affiliated with the Yukan Fuji. My question is, what do you think about the financial Anglo-Japanese alliance? Nichie Dome, Keizai Nichie, taking this opportunity. Is it really stupid that strengthening Anglo-Japanese alliance more, taking advantage of this?
You mean Anglo-Japanese means including US, you mean?
Including US.
So it's same as before, the London is shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
Some financial institutions stay in London temporarily, but some office move to maybe Dublin, maybe the Frankfurt, somewhere. But if once the lose the power of a center, value is much lower. So it seems as a financial center, Europe, they don't have any center, any financial center in the world. Only New York and Singapore maybe. It's a very miserable future for the Europe, losing London. That's quite sad. But Japanese people keep the New York office and the relationship with New York. So many people move to New York in the long run. So role of the European institution in the financial market just lower. Every power moved to New York and Singapore, I think.
So city can't be the center, financial center of Europe?
Cannot, I think.
Cannot. Japan should not support in that direction.
Japan has no power to support.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
This gentleman, please.
インターネットニュースメディアのハフィントンポストの吉野と申します。今日はありがとうございます。先ほどの、冒頭の講演で時間があまりなくて、お話にちょっとはしょっておられた7月以降、要は日銀がどう出てくるのかというお話についてもう少し、詳しく、こちらのレジュメにはなんか結構いろいろたくさん書いてありましたけれども、でまたおそらくマイナス金利を下げるであるとか、より一層のという今までの政策をより拡大するというようなことがきっとあるのではないかと思っているんですが、やはり長期的に見てその中央銀行が自分の国の借金を買い続けるというのが長期的にはやはり危機を深めるのではないかというふうに私は思っていますし、先生も以前著書でそういったことを指摘しておられたと思いますが、そういった長期的な影響について、お考えをお聞かせください。
So that was Mr. Yoshino from Huffington Post, Internet News Media in Japan. He's interested in listening to the part about BOJ, where the professor sort of went very quickly in the interest of time. So what is it about the BOJ? What would happen from July? They have been working on the negative interest rate policy, and so what would happen to these things that they were trying to do before the Brexit? Will Will they continue to press on the policies that they have been advocating? And what will happen in longer terms when the central bank is already buying back the debt of the country? Do you think it will continue to hurt the economy, as the professor has been writing in some of his publications?
日本語の方がいいですか？どちらでも。じゃあ日本語で答えます。理論的にはですね、量的緩和よりはマイナス金利の方が、まともと言いますか、セオリティカルにはオーソドックスな、ネガティブインセスポリシーズもオーソドックスポリシー in セオリー。なぜかというと、そのマネタリーポリシーっていうのは、要は金利を下げるっていうカットインタレストレートでスティミュレートエコノミーなわけですよ、すべてね。だからそのゼロ金利になったらバウンドが来て、それ以上下げられないから困りましたと。で行く道は3つあって、ゼロ金利になっちゃったから実質金利を下げるためにはインフレを起こせば、名目金利ゼロだと実質金利はマイナスになりますねと。だからそこで実質金利を下げますという方が一つと、でもう一つは、いや短金利はゼロだけど長期金利はまだポジティブなんで、そこを下げるために直接的に長期国債を大量に買って直接下げますよと。で3番目は、よく考えたら短金利ゼロでもう下がないなと思ったけど、別にマイナスにしてもいいんじゃないのということなんですけれども、そのおっしゃられたように財政に対する影響とかマーケットに対する撹乱とかを考えると、短期金利っていうのが唯一中央銀行が完全にコントロールできるマーケットなので、トータルの歪みでいうとそこがマイナスの歪みの方が、少ないはずなんですね。だから理論的にはその無理してこのゼロ金利ってもともともう無理な状況なんで、そこから無理してさらに緩和する、金利を下げるとすれば、インフレをわざと上げるってちょっとクレイジーだと思うんで、要はね、ネガティブインタレストレートポリシーは最もナチュラルだと思うんですよね。だから次もネガティブインタレストレートを拡大するっていう、ディープニングネガティブインタレストレートがファーストチョイスだと思うんですよね。
So thank you very much for the question. I think that when we compare the two theories from the BOJ, one being the monetary policy, quantitative easing, and the other one being the very orthodox policy, in my opinion, the negative interest rate, I really think that the negative interest rate policy is the one that they will choose to emphasize going forward. Because monetary policy, it's all about cutting the interest rate and to stimulate the economy. But when it hits the level of zero, there's nothing more to do. So what I think they will continue to push on the negative interest rate in three ways because of three thoughts. One is that, well, they've already hit zero interest rate in nominal terms. So how about the real term interest rate? How can we push this down a little bit lower? The second thought would be, well, the short term interest rate is already zero, but how about the long term interest rate? It's still positive, so how about bringing that one lower by buying back the long term JGBs? And the third thought would be, why should we think that the bottom is zero? Why not make it negative? So because of these thoughts, I would believe that the BOJ would continue to focus on the short-term interest rate because that's the only market that they can control completely. So theoretically, I think they already know that the interest rate is the only one that they can push down. That lever is the only one which would work because pushing up the inflation rate is crazy, in my opinion.
Stefano.
My name is Stefano Carrere for the Italian Economic Daily newspaper. Many commentators focus on the fact that older British people tend to vote for leave, and younger British voted, in the majority of them, for remain in Europe. So kind of a generational divide. The problem was that younger British voted, not so many of them, much less than half of them voted, a little more than 1/3. So it seems that it's a general trend. Also in Japan, younger people don't vote much less than older people. Do you think this is a general trend in advanced countries, yes, or you think that sooner or later younger generation will realize that it's in their interest to design the future, also participating in the vote, and not just leave the elderly people to design the future of the country for them. Thanks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So the younger generation will not vote in any election, referendum, even the future, not changing, because they don't think they depend on the politics, They think they are independent of the politics. So it's not a EU issue, not a consumption issue, not a pension issue, just younger generation, they don't think, they don't need politics, So they cannot feel the politics that help their lives. So this phenomenon, stay forever or stronger in the future.
Okay, Martin and Anthony again, doubling up now.
Martin Kölling. I would like, we are from the Ministry of Finance, and the Japanese debt is already pretty high, so I would like to ask you about the debt outlook of Japan and the outlook of the consolidation of the Japanese government budget. In fall, markets expect a stimulus package by the government from above 10 trillion yen. The consumption tax hike has been postponed again. The government tells us that they are still on track to reach their fiscal consolidation targets. What is your take on this? What is the real problem, and what will be the outcome of these postponements and of the higher spending?
I think it's not sustainable, and fiscal consolidation is impossible in Japan. I think it's not bad, because Japanese government is the most inefficient organization in Japanese economy. But they can borrow the money as much as they want. That's a bad situation. So after government bankrupt, they cannot borrow the money anymore. Japanese economy become more efficient because we can use more financial resource outside the government. That's a tricky argument, but I understand, the government default affect not only economy but also society, terrible. So it's not good, but only one solution for Japanese fiscal problem is to make government bankrupt as soon as possible. Earlier is better, because if the consumption tax rate 8%, if government default, we revive economy, we can raise a consumption tax until 20%. 12% we have. But if after 20% they raised, government bankrupt, we have no room to raise a tax anymore. Anyway, if we raise a tax to 20%, they waste the money. The point is the Japanese economy is, you suggested, I think not the size of the deficit of government, but a size of investment in Japanese economy. Investment much smaller than before, because we are losing savings, because individual saving wasted by government. It means we suffer from shortage of investment, the human capital, also physical capital. Even if some people argue that in Japan there is no opportunity to invest, but if you think so, you can invest in abroad. Even in the financial investment, you can get a financial return. If you invest in the government, they just waste. So if we have 1,000 trillion yen government debt, if if we replace JGB debt 1,000 trillion yen replaced by the U.S. Fed U.S. bond, we can get the interest and also principal come back. 100 trillion yen come back. Yes, so we can invest in the private sector. So the point is that the problem of the Japanese economy is not size of the government deficit, but the way of the to use the money by government. The point is they use as a consumption, not the investment in the economy and the society. So stimulus consumption, even the private sector, I don't think it's a good idea. Because it stimulates current economy, but we cannot accumulate the capital for future. So private sector should not consume, should invest more.
Okay, coming towards the end now. I'll go through this gentleman and then finish with a question from Anthony.
My name is Khalil. I am ambassador of Bahrain. Thank you for coming here and explaining. You know, it looked to me it was quite psychological shock, things which happened, this week. And you mentioned that the market is in a bubble all the time. Now, in the last 1-2 days, the world lost around $2 trillion. Okay. Now, the world economy is depending on a few dealers who deal with stock markets. Okay? And I understand that from what you said that we are not evaluating the stocks properly. That's why they are in bubble all the time. My question is, it looks there is a defect in psychology of managing or thinking about stocks. And here is my question. Do you think you need a proper psychological assessment of people who work in this type of market, which they really control the economy of the world? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I definitely agree with 200% same opinion. Definitely you're right. But the problem of the market is, for instance, two big influential investor control the whole market. You can say that, but why they can control? Because other investors follow them. Okay, so follow is bad. Why they follow? Because they can make a small money. So very influential investor, they decide invest in oil. Everybody follow. So this fixer, he can get the profit always. So market is always on the bubble, but it's fundamentally market is always on the bubble because absolute value of Nikkei average, theoretical value we cannot calculate. We can compare the price of Toyota and Nissan. Toyota is relatively cheaper than Nissan, or Nissan is more attractive than Toyota, you can say that. But Nikkei average 15,000 is fair, 17,000 is overvalued. It's very difficult to say that. It's decided the attitude of investors. The investors become a little bit pessimistic. $15,000 is too expensive. If the sentiment is become quite positive, future is optimistic. Even 70,000 is very cheap. So it's, I think, impossible we can decide the fair value on the equity. So only one thing we can do is just discourage the trade or decrease the volatility. So high frequency trade is kill the market. the more investor become short run, short side. Let's discourage the financial trade. That's only one way to minimize the negative effect from the traders, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to have to wrap up things now. Thank you very much, Professor Obata, for coming to the club today. It's much appreciated. I know we invited you at very short notice, so thank you so much. And just as a gift from a club, here's a year's complimentary membership of the FCCJ.
Thank you.
A round of applause, please. Thank you very much.